Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. I have something really special for you today. Something really rare. I was out in my yard the other night and I saw my cats looking at something, and um, at first I thought it was a coral snake, which it is a coral snake mimic. I'd prefer not to get bit. I know it's not a coral snake. Coral snakes, I mean, look at that. This is really special. Coral snakes tend to have yellow patterns in them with the black and the orange. Red touch yellow, kill a fellow. Red touches black, friend of Jack, is the saying. This is neither one. If this was a coral snake, this would be a many banded coral snake. They actually do have just black and orange, a lot of times stripes, but they're not found here in this area. So I knew that it wasn't a many uh, banded coral snake. Their stripes are a lot more yellow and a lot more orange, excuse me, closer patterning, closer striping.
Is it nervous? Why is it
Yeah,
moving so fast?
I haven't really held him a lot because he's a wild animal. I'm gonna let him go after this video. This snake is a terrestrial snail-eating snake. This snake
Oh,
actually eats snails and invertebrates.
oh,
Uh, so slugs, snails.
well, that sounds like a
It's
decent pet
really
because there's a lot of
interesting.
snails in the garden that I don't like.
Yeah, and I just thought it was the most beautiful snake. This is the most beautiful snake I've ever caught. I mean, this is really special. There's not a lot of information out there about this snake on the internet. I've done a lot of research. I've narrowed it down to 3 different snakes that it could be that are found in this area with black and orange patterns. They're all snail-eating, terrestrial snail-eating snakes also. So he's starting to calm down now a little bit, but see how his tongue's just going just non-stop. He's really sensing what's going on, really nervous. He's got a really tight grip on my fingers. He or she has already eaten a slug that I put in there, and these little snails that I find around the yard. What they do, he hasn't eaten any more. The other day he had eaten one of the snails, and they don't eat the whole thing. They have some kind of a
Can you put it in your hand so we
special
can see?
mouth. This might be a
Thank
little too
you.
small. Um, they're also called one of these snakes is called snail suckers. They literally suck the snail out of the shells.
Do you do that? You suck the snail out of the shell?
Yeah, and the first night that I had it, I put a couple snails in there, and the next morning, the shells were completely empty. The snake had literally sucked the snail out of the shell, and I thought it was the craziest thing. I would have thought that maybe it would eat the whole thing and then maybe regurgitate or poop out the shell, but that's not the case. They have some kind of mechanism where they suck the snail out of the shell, and I
Wow.
think that's the coolest thing. Look, you can see kind of
Can you tell us
rainbow
about
patterns on them in the sun. It's really pretty
can you tell
fluorescence.
us about its teeth?
This snake doesn't. They have very small teeth, but not more like I would compare it to maybe aggressive sandpaper. They don't have really, you know, the teeth like a constrictor would have. This is a colubrid, related to the rat snakes and the king snakes families. A lot of people have those as pets. They actually have much larger teeth than this one, probably because this one has evolved to eat snails and slugs, and it maybe doesn't eat its teeth as much to grab onto its prey. It probably doesn't constrict either, because I don't know why it would need to do that to kill a snail or a slug, but it's interesting.
So there's three kinds of teeth or more, but tell me because I know that there's like the fang teeth, which this one doesn't have, and I know that there's like the rear teeth.
Right. This one would have teeth like a probably similar to I'm gonna say it's similar to it like a king snake. So if it was to bite me, it would, it might leave like a pinprick or two. It wouldn't hurt very much. It would be more for gripping, for the mouth to grip, not so much for puncturing. I've been bitten by many rat snakes and king snakes, and it's not fun, but it's not it's not the worst thing in the world. But they're sharp, like little needles, but they're so small that they don't penetrate human skin as much. Also, when I caught her, the day two, when I looked at it to check on him, I noticed that he was all solid gray, like almost a white, like a ghost snake, and that told me that the snake was going to shed soon. And lucky for us, for the video, the snake is a lot brighter now colors because the snake did shed its skin.
Is that why it looks so like shiny, like it's wet?
Yeah, I believe so, because I didn't really see it before because it was at nighttime when I caught it, so I couldn't really see the colors as much. Easy, easy, easy. But I'm assuming that it is a lot more bright now after it hit shed. And I put a rock in there for him or her to rub his nose against. They need something to kind of start peeling the skin, and that gets them started. And then they can peel the whole. They can almost wiggle out of the whole skin, and that's what she did. The whole skin came out in here, and the eyeballs have their own little scales over them, and the mouth, and the whole shedding is.
So she likes these leaves, huh, for her enclosure?
Yeah, well, this is exactly the environment that I found when I found her, so that I tried to recreate that. And I gave her a little water dish, put some snails in there.
Before our video is over, will you show us her shedding?
Absolutely.
Would you be able to get your hand behind her head so that we could see her head better in the camera? I'm trying to get a shot for everyone.
I wasn't really too familiar
She's shy.
of these snakes or coral snakes around this area. We're in the Yucatan, Mexico, and when I first saw it, I thought that it's possible that it could be some kind of a coral snake that I maybe wasn't familiar with, and that kind of scared me a little bit. So I was very careful, of course, catching her, and be very careful with all the animals that I catch, and treat them with as much respect as I can. Later found out it wasn't a coral snake.
Will she get much bigger?
I think she'll probably get another. I think she could get. Like I said, I couldn't find a whole lot on them, but I think they get around 2 feet, so she could grow another maybe like half a foot or so.
Because she's
Possible.
quite small, isn't she?
She is.
Little.
And I'm gonna assume that they
Very pretty
have
and very dainty.
eggs, because a lot of colubrids are egg layers.
So she'll lay some eggs when
Yep.
the time comes?
I believe so. She's so beautiful. Like I said, this is a real special treat because there's not a whole lot about these. Actually, in the description below the video, I'm gonna put on 2 or 3 of the scientific names, which this snake could be, and maybe somebody could tell me like which one it is. I'm gonna put down there which one I think it is. I can't pronounce any of them, so I'm not gonna try to. But there's one that starts with an S, and that's the one that I think it is. But there's so many different. I should say there's very few photos of these.
Well, if she ate the snails, then she's probably a snail eater.
Yes, but all 3 of them are the snail eaters.
Ah.
And all 3 have different scientific names. They all 3 have black and orange striping on them.
Ah.
Some of them are a little thinner than this. The striping is a little thinner. Some of them, one of the snakes is longer and skinnier looking. It looks more like a rat snake. It's got a lot skinnier head. This one kind of has a very broad head, which is also one of the reasons why I thought it could have been a coral snake. The head looks just like a coral snake's head, and oftentimes the head is beginning with a black, just like a coral snake. So I was really hesitant at first about it, but just like this snake is not trying to bite me or anything. Coral snakes also are very I don't want to say tame, but they're very docile. A coral snake, they're very venomous. You should never handle a coral snake free-handed like this. But coral snakes are known to be very docile. You probably could get away with holding one, but if it bit you, that would not be worth it.
It's possible to die. They have
Absolutely.
very, very strong venom. Well, thank you,
Let me
Ryan,
go grab the
for
skin.
letting us see her.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna put her
yeah,
right back in here, and I'll go get the skin. Maybe you
yeah.
can check her out for a
Let's.
little while. I'm just gonna let her go in the land next to me, and I'm gonna let her go in this big pile of rocks that I know of. She'll be really happy there.
Well,
Lots of
since
snails.
she's not poisonous and since she eats snails, I think she's a great snake for the garden.
Also, I was thinking that this might be a great, I'm not an advocate for the pet trade. I used to be. I'm not any longer, but I think this would be a better alternative for a pet snake because instead of having to feed it mice and rabbits and mammals, maybe feed it snails and slugs would be a better thing for for a pet keeping, especially for like a little kid. So here's the shedding.
Wow.
Look at that. It's got its mouth.
Can you put your hand behind its head so we can get a clear view of it?
Its mouth is like literally
Wow.
open. And there's its head. And its two
Wow.
little, you can see its little eyes cut out there. Well, not cut out, they're actual scales that go over the eyes.
Wow. You can see its whole head.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it's like there's a dried up snake here. This is like a whole snake.
If you can keep your hand behind it, it helps the camera be able to see it better like that. And you can turn it over if you want to show us the bottom or the sides or anything. Yeah. So does it slither out its mouth? Do you know?
Well,
it comes off the head first, right?
it actually turns inside out. So as the skin starts here, like at the tip of the snake's nose, and it starts peeling back, like it starts peeling back this way, and then eventually it flips inside out, and the snake, it's kind of like a sock, taking a sock off.
I see.
And then it peels inside out, and then goes all the way down the snake as the snake wiggles out of it.
That's amazing.
It's a full shedding. Sometimes I've
Can you
kept
hold
snakes in
it
the
straight
past.
so we can estimate the size of the snake? Will you
It's
hold it?
about 2 feet.
Yeah, in between
So-
your two hands for us.
So she could be full grown.
Show us. Show us like this. There we go.
Sometimes if the moisture's not right, the snake could shed into little pieces, and it doesn't come off the snake in one solid piece like this. If it's too dry.
When she was on you, and she kept curled up, so it was very hard for me to tell really how big she is. So that's interesting.
Me too. I couldn't either, and I would think that the shedding could be a little stretched out because you can actually kind of pull these. So this is not a full representation of the snake. This could be a little longer than that snake is, because the skin can it stretches pretty good, like elastic almost.
Well, thank you for letting us see her. She's shy. She went back under the leaves as she was like, I'm done with my cameo.
Yeah, that's it. She did great.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to release her.
Thank you, and thank you for releasing her and showing her to us so we can learn about her, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. See you. Bye.